Hey guys, Luke here. As Connor said in that last episode, we spent a little too much time talking, so we had to split this up into two parts. So this is the Ann Knuckles part of episode 3, so enjoy.
Yeah.
Yeah, but moving on, kind of continuing with the video game, but going to the actual video game side of things. This was actually pretty nice to see. The Switch recently just passed 50 million units in sales, which now puts it 13th overall in the best-selling video game consoles of all time. And it's just wild to see Nintendo rebound themselves after what the Wii U did. The Wii U sold 13.5 million. And so the fact that the Switch now has over 50 million, it's at 52.48. It was last figure that was released. It's insane. And here's the crazy part too. The Switch now is sold more than the Xbox One. We don't know the full numbers of the Xbox One because Microsoft hasn't released that in years, but the Xbox One's estimated about 47 million.
Wow.
So the Switch has sold 5 million more units than the Xbox One, even though the Xbox One was released about a little over 3 years before the Switch.
Wow.
That is so impressive. And then looking at these figures, they also have like some of the games that have, and they have some of the unit sales for the actual games as well. Pokemon Sword and Shield units have reached 16.06 million. And Mario Kart 8 Deluxe has sold 22.96 million to 23 million, basically.
So here's the crazy thing about Mario Kart 8 Deluxe has I have the list up of the of consoles from best to worst. Mario Kart 8 Deluxe is 1 million short of passing the original Xbox in terms of sales. It has sold more than the GameCube, Wii U, Sega Game Gear, PlayStation Vita, Sega Master System, Sega Saturn, Dreamcast, and a bunch of other, random things like the Atari Lynx and the Philips CDI and stuff like that. But Mario Kart 8 Deluxe has sold better than the Sega Dreamcast and Sega Saturn combined.
Jiminy Christmas.
So that's just insane. But I mean, Mario Kart 8 Deluxe is such a good game, and it's the definitive edition of Mario Kart 8, and in my opinion, probably the best Mario Kart game.
Yeah.
So it makes sense why it is, and that's people like me. Like when I bought my Switch, that was the first game I bought because it's okay. I can only get one game at a time because Nintendo doesn't put their games on sale. So what's one that I will get a lot of enjoyment out of? Bam, Mario Kart.
Yeah, and Mario Kart's a good game that you can get. It's a good single player and multiplayer game. It's very balanced.
Yes, that's probably part of the algorithm, not algorithm. The appeal.
Yeah. Whereas you can have a Super Mario Odyssey, which is single player only, or you can have a Mario Party, which is not a game that you would want to play. You can play it by yourself, but you not want to. But Mario Kart is somewhere that's perfect in the middle. So that makes the perfect sense why it's I
mean, it appeals to casuals so easily, like all those Mario Party games, the card, because you see them at bars and stuff. They'll have arcade bar things, and you have people who've never played. Oh, I've never played this.
Yeah,
and that's I guess part of where that's coming into. But it doesn't surprise me at all that it was specifically Mario Kart.
Yeah, and that Pokemon already has sold 16, almost 17 million units as well. Just because
Pokemon Sword and Shield.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's because it's even though those are lesser received, it's still Pokemon. It's
right.
Those are always big sellers. People bought their Switches for Right now, the last figures they released was New Year's Eve. Mario Kart 8 Deluxe is first, Smash is second, Odyssey's third, Breath of the Wild's fourth, and then Sword and Shield is fifth.
Wow.
But yeah, I mean, it's the fact though too that you are seeing Breath of the Wild and Odyssey, which are single player. Sure, there's multiplayer with the co-op and Odyssey, but the fact that those two single player ones are there, and then still have 17 million almost, and then you have two big single player and multiplayer games of Smash and Mario Kart.
Yeah, it's huge. Nintendo's on the rise, and it's best it's been in a long time.
Yeah, I mean the Switch is just such a perfect console all around that I am not surprised by any of this, and I wouldn't be surprised if the Switch is going to be around for, I don't know, how long was the Xbox 360 around? I know there was a long
I
time.
mean, so technically the Xbox 360 is just now starting to go away, but in terms of when it was like Microsoft's like number one, it was 2005 to 2013. So that was 8 years. Most of the video game generations, when like they're like the main generation, is about 7 to 9 years or so. Like the previous generation, the PS2 GameCube era, that was 99 to 2005, 2006, depending on which console it was. So you have about 6 or 7 years.
Yeah. I think
So
with the Switch, like Connor said, I think that they're gonna, and I don't know exactly who said it, but I remember somebody saying that the Switch is going to be around a lot longer than their previous consoles, because there's no reason to. I mean, it's doing well. There's no reason to update the console if the console itself is already doing so well. Like eventually, yes, they have to update it, but I would say that even though the average generation for video game consoles is about 7 years, I wouldn't be surprised if we had the Switch for 10 years.
That's what I was going to say. I think
And,
10
and we're
years is
also
perfect for it.
we're also moving away from the old style of generations, because it used to be with the Super Nintendo and Genesis generation and the PS1 and 64 and the PS2, Xbox, and with those generations, it was the console wars of, okay, like these two consoles can do basically the same things. However many consoles there are, they can do basically the same things. Just the Super Nintendo has Mode 7, so you can do this 3D effect with the scrolling, and the Sega Genesis has the Blast processor, so you can run games like Sonic. But it was the point where, for the most part, especially when you got into the PS2 era and the PS3 era, these games were basically the same. Just you had a different controller, and maybe one ran a little better than the other. But we're getting to the point now where Sony is going to be the one that they're pushing more of a PC-like experience, where more hardware, pushing your standard. You buy a console, here's your console. It has this crazy processing power. It can do this and that. And then we're moving to where Microsoft, I think, is moving more with their streaming and their xCloud and this and that, where it's, hey, we're a service. And then Nintendo is just like, hey, we're just Nintendo. We're moving away from the standard. All three are doing kind of the same things. And Nintendo really was the one that really pushed that off with the Wii. And so we're kind of seeing everyone else kind of catch up to what the Wii was doing, in a way where they're all doing their own separate things together. And I think that's better for it, because then we can have it where there's still competition, but then like we're letting each other use stuff, like putting Microsoft stuff like Banjo-Kazooie and Smash Brothers, allowing cross-platform play, so you can play Fortnite on the PS4 and the Switch together and stuff like that. So,
do you think the Nintendo, not the Nintendo Switch, do you think Nintendo overall is going to get to the point where they're going to have the kind of processing power that the Xbox and PlayStation are offering?
They could if they wanted to. The GameCube was the most powerful. In a lot of ways, the GameCube was the most powerful console out of the PS2 and the Xbox. But it's as if they want to. I don't think they want to anymore. Like I don't think they're the Nintendo that pushed to have the best graphics, the best this, the best that side of things in terms of hardware. I don't think that Nintendo is there anymore. I think they're more going for, they want to just have just the best place to play some of these things. The Switch is a perfect example of that. Like the Switch, and it can't even run some early PS3, Xbox 360 games very well without a lot of dumbing them down. But you can play those on the go. I can play, a game like Mario Odyssey or Breath of the Wild on the bus, where you can't do that with the PlayStation. You can't play God of War. You can sort of play on mobile now on Wi-Fi, but you're streaming it, so you have lag, you have this and that. But it's a lot more work to be able to play God of War or Halo on the go, where you can be on the train and you can play Mario Odyssey.
Exactly, and I guess that more than makes up for the lack of process. I say lack of processing power, but it's still there. It's still a solid
compared to the other ones.
Yeah. So it's here to stay, and it's proving its worth with 52 odd million unit sales and growing. So yeah, I'm happy I'm a Switch owner.
Yeah, it's been a lot of fun. I mean, speaking of the Switch and its second best selling game though, Smash Bros. We just ended up finishing. I guess it's been a few weeks now, but we just finished up with the first Fighter Pass, and so I kind of want to know what your guys' thoughts were. So first, what were your first initial thoughts with Byleth? I know we weren't happy per se with it being a Fire Emblem character, but what are your guys' initial thoughts with how he or she, if you play as the female version, but how do you think Byleth fits into the overall Smash world so far?
It's a sword boy, and I am neutral. We have plenty of sword wielding characters, and so it was not necessary. But I did play with him once, and he was a solid fighter. I didn't dislike him. It's just he's just, in my opinion, not shaking things up at all.
Yeah, go ahead, Johnny.
I agree. I mean, I think what Connor said is something I've said before, and I can say it again. It's just kind of, I don't think it's a bad inclusion. I'm not mad that he's there. I've already gotten everything from Smash Ultimate I could ever want, which is my top two: K. Rool, and Banjo, which coincidentally had like similar reveal trailers. But I'm just, if I weren't already happy with what I had, I would be upset that Byleth was there and not somebody else. I know that this was like there's a lot of arguments that can be made that they say that they were decided long ago, and that it's no one character is taking another character's spot, or maybe the time that you spend on one character is like everything was planned out way in advance. But I can understand why some people would be upset, because this is the 8th Fire Emblem character and like the millionth sword wielder. So I'm not. It's not bad. It's not good for me. It's just it's disappointing, but not for myself, just for the what other people want.
It's sort of like getting one gift twice in one Christmas. It's like, oh, I got a Fitbit, thanks mom, and then like open it, another Fitbit, thanks Aunt Carol, appreciate this. What am I supposed to do with it? It's
to me, and like using that analogy, for me it's kind of like getting a Nintendo Switch, I guess, for Christmas, and then getting like $5 in the Nintendo eShop. It's like yeah, it's $5 I can spend on the Nintendo eShop, but I also got a Switch. So like, what you gave me, good gift, but what I've gotten before is better. So I think that even Sakurai, I think, recently said that even he understands Fire Emblem burnout. And like, I don't think he was the one that made the decision, even though I might have said in a previous podcast that it was his choice to bring him in. Apparently it's not. It wasn't. And he gets why people aren't too happy about it. I want to say that people aren't furious that it's him, but it's video game people, and like we've talked about with movies, video game or basement dwellers can be also exist in the video game world.
Yeah.
And so I'm not thrilled, but I can tell a lot of people are going to be a lot more angry. I have who I want, so I don't really.
Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah, I mean, I've played with Byleth a few times, and I've enjoyed them. Here and there. When you grab character in the air and pull them down, that move's fun and all that. But sure, there's different things with their sword wielding abilities you don't get with Link or with other Fire Emblem sword characters and stuff. But yeah, the fact that we have 8 and only Mario has more characters. That's not even counting Yoshi and Wario.
Right.
The fact that and like the Donkey Kong characters, the fact that Fire Emblem is the second highest franchise in Smash is still so crazy. I get that it's definitely had a big renaissance over the last few years, but yeah, I don't know. I'm still overall pleased though with the overall Fighter Pass. I don't know about you guys too, but with the 5 we got plus Piranha Plant, I mean, Byleth and Hero are the only 2 that I was just like, but I've definitely enjoyed a lot of them. What about you guys? Have you overall felt for all of them? So we had, let's count Piranha Plant in this, even though he was not part of the Fighter Pass. So you have Piranha Plant from Mario, Joker from Persona 5, Hero from the Dragon Quest series, Banjo and Kazooie from Banjo and Kazooie, Terry from Fatal Fury and other SNK games, and then Byleth from Fire Emblem.
I think it was solid fighter pack. I went through each of them one at a time with Johnny because he has the game. I don't have the game. And I had fun with all of them. Even Piranha Plant somehow I enjoyed.
Oh, I love Plant.
It was a quirky character to play. But I'm getting burnout of sword wielding characters, and that's starting to include Link, because another sword wielding character, but at least he's got the history with Smash Bros. That it's unique, and I don't know. I think if it's too much of a good thing, too much of a good thing ends up being a bad thing, and then all of a sudden I'm just not going to be playing those characters. But I'm not sure if that's how you guys feel. Is the Fire Emblem burnout starting to creep its way into other sword wielding characters for you?
I think so. I mean, I even think I'm with you. Like, Zelda is one of my favorite game series of all time, but I even think that Link is starting to look unoriginal, even though he has, yes, I know he has so many other options. He has bombs and bow and arrow, and he can use his he has the remote bomb with his Sheikah Slate and a bunch of other things that make him unique, more unique than just your typical sword wielder. But you could make that argument for any sword wielder. So I think
they all have their own thing that sets them apart. But when it comes down to it, their primary mode of attack is still a sword.
Exactly. And it's like if you it's kind of like if you had a different electric type Pokemon. Like, if I would say the same thing about Pikachu, it's like we have Pichu, sure, and that's all we need. We don't need another electric type. We don't need any more swords. If they brought in another Pokemon, I'd love to see like a psychic type, which should like shake things up. But I don't want to see. I think the most disappointing thing about the Fire Emblem release is that we didn't have to have a sword wielder, and this character does have other weapons.
I think a crossbow, right?
He has like 3 or 4 weapons total that he uses, which is unique, sure. But what I really would love to see is somebody that's always riding on a horse. Like a what do you call that? Somebody that's always on a horse. I don't remember what the term is called, but yeah, if you like, I know that I've played a few Fire Emblem games, and you can be fighters that are on horseback, and I think that would be a very unique style of gameplay.
Yes.
And even if he had a sword on a horse, that would be really cool.
I think anything that causes you to adjust your strategy completely is what we're looking for. But if you have like Luke said, something that's primary attack mode is a sword, despite having a crossbow versus bombs, you're still going to have very similar strategy.
Yeah.
But if you have to adjust our entire sense of playing style, like if you do have a horseback based character, then you're going to have to completely shift your movement, the way you move your character around the screen, and that is fun. That is actually shaking up things. Like you said, Pokemon, 2 electric types, fine. If you limit it to 2 of a certain type, 2 grass, 2 water, that's fine. But I guess the word I'm coming back to is burnout.
Yeah. And I mean, even within our Fighters Pass, if you don't include Piranha Plant, I mean, not that he like wields a sword, but not including Piranha Plant, of the 5 characters, Hero also has a sword. So like you have 2 sword wielders in the 5 characters, and I don't know. I think that it makes sense that Hero's there. Because Dragon Quest is iconic and has not been touched yet with Smash Bros. But Byleth, not as much.
No, it's just redundant.
Yeah, we have 5 of them.
We already had Robin. We already had all these Ike and Roy, and it's Cena.
I have to say it's a mix between them being Fire Emblem and also a sword wielder, because Robin was introduced and in the last game, and Corrin, and both of those characters are from Fire Emblem, but they're not like other Fire Emblem Smash Bros. Characters, and so I don't play them very often, but those of us who have seen them played, we know that they are different, and that's something that's good. Yes, we don't need necessarily more Fire Emblem representation, but if we're gonna get it, at least they are different. So I like that. And then in terms of it being sword wielder, I mean, we've talked a lot about that,
And
but
we'll continue to talk ad nauseum about it.
yeah, but
Well, there's just so many of them. I mean, it's like, so I'm just trying to name. So we have
all three links.
So you have 3 links. You have Ganondorf. You have Me Sword Fighter. You have Hero. You have Byleth. You have Cloud. Shulk. You have
Meta Knight.
That's
Pit, sort of.
Robin.
Dark Pit.
Yeah, Dark Pit. Ike. Like there's
Chrom. Lucina.
there's just so many. Like
That's
16.
That was 16 right there.
and yeah, sure. Like 3 of them are the same character with Link. They're just different variations of like the same character. But like the fact that we have that, like that's just insane that we have that many.
I mean, I already think that like with Terry, Ryu, and Ken, I think we have enough bare knuckle brawlers. Like,
Yeah,
I
exactly.
think that,
We're good. No more.
Yeah.
That's fine.
The only one I would say would be good to add, but the only reason like they're different is a Mortal Kombat character because they're one of the only big name fighting series that isn't in Smash. But even then, they can put someone in that has more stuff like chains, like Simon and Richter, and stuff where it's not as much of we're just bare knuckle brawler. We have that. We don't need it anymore. Just like we don't need any more swordsmen.
Yeah. But if like Connor, why don't you go down the list and just kind of talk about what you think about each character individually, and we'll go around then. Well, actually, we'll talk about each character. So let's start with Piranha Plant first, and then we'll just kind of give our own like brief opinions.
I love Plant. Plant's so much fun to play with. It's I don't know. It's like he's a goofy character to play with. It was a fun little extra inclusion. Just as a bonus character, nothing too crazy. But yeah, I have a lot of fun with Piranha Plant.
I thought it was really creative the way they included the whole character is what I meant to say is the whole character is creative movement, creative attacks. I think it's just fun overall. Great inclusion.
I thought I when he was announced, I was very not okay with it
because it was before Banjo.
Because it was before Banjo, and I was just like, why him? Like, why,
Yes,
but
I
like
totally get what you mean.
And I get like he is iconic. He's in the first Mario game where he's ever been named Mario. But I just wasn't cool with it at first. And I think I will say that I eased up to it over time. And once he came out and I played him, I like him. He's a lot of fun. I love fast characters. They're my favorite. And he's very fast and he has a good recovery, which I really like.
Yeah, great reach too.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And I got to say one thing that I think is really interesting about Piranha Plant is that if you exclude the Pokemon who are not a specific Pokemon, or who are not like iconic in some way other than just them being a generic Incineroar, a generic Squirtle, a generic whatever, Piranha Plant is the first character to not be its own character, if you know what I mean. Joker is Joker, Banjo, Mario, Link, they're all characters, but Piranha Plant is the first playable character that is not
a Piranha Plant.
Yeah, well, no, Duck Hunt is, I mean, the dog. I mean, maybe it's one duck, but the dog himself is there's just one dog.
Yeah.
But Piranha Plant is like, we don't know which Piranha Plant it is.
Yeah,
so
it's like
the
a
first
Piranha
one.
Plant, a Goomba.
Yeah.
I totally get what you mean.
Yeah, so I think that's kind of a cool concept. Which bringing in Piranha Plant means that you could bring in any nameless, like any non-specific nameless baddie, from any game. So you could bring in a Bokoblin from Zelda. You could bring in a Goomba or a Shy Guy now from Mario. You could bring
literally,
in,
why not though?
Yeah, and honestly, like some work better than others, but I would have never said that Piranha Plant would have been a good option, but we have him. So and he's great.
He's such a fun character to play with.
He's fun. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So let's move on to Joker and talk about. Sorry, did you have something else?
No, I was the transition to Joker too. So Joker was one of, counting Piranha Plant, one of the 3 characters I knew of the 6 going into the Smash Ultimate's release. I knew about Persona. I've never played him, but I knew who Joker was, and I enjoy Joker, but he's definitely one of the ones I played the least, just because I find myself going to other characters here and there. But I enjoy the character. no, he can be a lot of fun, especially with his gun that you can go and some of his other moves. But he's just an all right, solid character, I guess.
Yeah, I thought when I played him the first time, I thought that he was I didn't understand how he works, and I still really don't, but I thought there was something about him that like he like oozed charisma, and there was something about him that was really cool. And his is it called a persona that's floating around? Okay, yeah, his persona with him was really cool. Had no idea how to use him whatsoever, didn't know what I was doing, but
that's one thing overall too. I think we got with a few of these, especially with Joker, and then when we talk about Hero and Second Hero, is that these are really complex characters, and they really do a lot of stuff that makes them unique with how they are in their games, compared to just them being like, oh, here we are in a fighting game where you have some elements.
Yeah. And yeah, I thought that he had guns, which was really cool. Bayonetta has guns, and I think I mean, if you don't include Fox, which are like pew pew, like laser guns, he had like actual pistols, and Bayonetta does, and so they're the only two I'm pretty sure that do that. So that was a cool inclusion. I think he's fun. I know nothing about Persona, the game series, at all, but as far as a playable character, I didn't. Unlike you, Luke, I had no idea who Joker was before his inclusion. And when somebody told me Joker was in Smash, I was like, no way.
Yep.
The Clown Prince in Gotham, like, there's no way that he's in Smash. And then they're like, no, from Persona 5. And I was like, oh, okay. Who the fuck is that?
Yeah, Joker's in it. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Sure.
So yeah, I like him. I think he's a lot of fun. I like his stage a lot. It's really unique. Yeah. That's about it for me. What about you, Connor?
Joker, Hero, Terry, and Byleth are people I have absolutely no connection with, and I've only played them once, and so I really am not able to expand too much on this conversation.
That's fair.
I didn't play them enough to get to know their characters.
Yeah, I didn't know him, but I've played it a little more, so I've gotten to know a little bit. But yeah, I get where you're coming from.
Mm-hmm.
Do you mean the only reason I knew who Joker, like the first time that I knew who Joker was because one of the costumes you got in Sonic Forces was a Persona costume, and it had it was based off of Joker's design in Persona 5.
Oh,
okay. Like that's really like I knew what Persona was, but that was like the first time I found who like Joker was. So it's like I knew little to no things. But he has a few other, like I said, like him and Bayonetta are the only that have a gun. Him, Snake, and Bayonetta are the only ones that have appeared from an M-rated game. Or him, Cloud, Richter, and Hero are the only third-party characters who didn't debut in the first game of their home series. So there's a bunch of little goofy things about him that makes him unique to the series.
Yeah, I'm glad. Like I said, I don't know much about him, but I definitely think he deserves his spot. Yeah,
sure. Yeah.
Yeah. So then next we have a Hero from Dragon Quest, and then what is nice. One thing I do like about Hero is that since that's like the main line, that's the main protagonist of each of the Dragon Quest games, is each of your costumes are different heroes. Even though like I didn't know anything about them, you pick different costumes and you're playing as the one from Dragon Quest 11, the one from Dragon Quest whatever, and all that. So I liked that, but I mean it's another sword character. I know with their RPG elements they brought in from Dragon Quest, it does have a lot of like randomness to it that if you get lucky with it, it can be awesome. Like I know with his random number generator, a part of his move set, there's like those insta kill moves you can do. But yeah, he's been my least played character out of I've even played Byleth more than him so far.
Yeah, I've played Hero and Terry probably the least of all of the characters. But I did know who Hero was through one. I've only ever played one Dragon Quest game, and it's actually one of my favorite RPGs I've ever played, but he's not in one of the costumes in Smash. He's not one of the 4 chosen. It was Dragon Quest X, and it was on the DS. And it was the first game I'd ever gotten where you can make your own party. Like you can create characters to like like I can make a Connor and I can make a Luke and I can make a me, and we're all like you can design what like class they are, how they fight, all their abilities and that kind of thing.
Very interesting.
And like the story is based around your player character. And so it didn't matter who you made outside of that because you got to make, because they don't affect the story. And I'd never seen something like that. And I loved that concept because I haven't seen something like it since. So I played that game all the time growing up. And so I haven't played any other Dragon Quests since then or before then. But so I can't say that I was like very excited about Hero. But I thought like it definitely, outside of Banjo and Kazooie, as far as characters that I wasn't like super attached to, I think that Hero probably was the most deserving of a spot on this list.
Yeah, because I don't care much about RPGs, but yeah, just how important Dragon Quest is. Just like when Cloud got in from Final Fantasy, like Final Fantasy is so big, and Dragon Quest is so big that putting them in is like it's such a good thing for like, especially with this whole idea that Ultimate is kind of the ultimate celebration of gaming, and that's that's why when I wasn't as like excited about Hero, I was like, but then it's like, but it is Dragon Quest, which is a big deal. So
and it's good to like know that there are people out there, like not just us, but there's a lot of people out there who recognize that it doesn't have to be your favorite game to recognize that it's still an iconic game.
And there's people that like how you are when like when we talk about Banjo a second, like when Banjo was announced, that was so big for you. There's people that when a Dragon Quest character was finally announced, that was huge for them.
Yeah, and I don't want to take away, like I know how much I felt with Banjo, and so I don't want to take away from what other people felt with Hero or with Joker or with Terry. But I feel like you can't say the same thing about Piranha Plant and Byleth. Like I love Piranha Plant, love playing as him, but I just feel like Piranha Plant, I don't know anybody who's like, oh, I've always wanted Piranha Plant in Smash Bros. And I don't know who thinks that there needs to be any more Fire Emblem characters in Smash. So Joker, Hero, Banjo, Terry, I'd say those are the ones that people can say, thank you for putting my dream character in.
Sure. Yes, that's fair.
So what about you, Connor, for Hero? Oh, I guess it's just
same as
thing.
Joker.
Yeah.
Same as Joker.
Same thing. I'm gonna do that every time.
That's fine.
So let's move on to Banjo and Kazooie.
All right, Luke, you're the expert on this one. We should have you.
Yes.
No, we'll end with Johnny in this one since this is his.
No, man, the Banjo one was so much fun watching because that was one that I was watching the direct at my old job while I was doing some work, and just when like I knew Johnny just but like just watching all of my friends through Johnny or just like YouTubers I follow on Twitter or I was in a group chat, everyone freaking out because right away when they showed like Donkey Kong and all of them, they knew what was coming. And everyone's just like, oh my gosh, like it's actually here. And just seeing all the reaction, I think was the best part because like that was one of the, definitely one of the more requested characters I think we've ever had in a Smash Bros. Game. And so to see that finally happen, I think was awesome. And like, and it's cool to see, he's a lot of, they're a lot of fun, because it is two people, but yeah, Banjo Kazooie are a lot of fun to play as too. There's still, a lot of quirks that I still haven't fully figured out with them, just like Hero and Joker, but I do also like Spiral Mountain a lot too. That's a really fun stage to play on.
That was a blast.
Especially how like that probably is, I don't know, actually I think that's one of the better parts too, is the 5 new stages are probably 5 of my favorite in the game, honestly. Like with the look of Jokers. I guess I can't fully remember the Dragon Quest one off the top of my head right now, but the new Fire Emblem stage is nice, and I do like the one with Terry and all that. But yeah, Spiral Mountain and how it turns throughout the battle when you're playing on normal is a lot of fun.
It was a blast, and I think piggybacking off of what he was already saying, it was the fun for me in seeing the announcement was the joy that it brought you, because it was such a relief. Finally, the monkey's off your back.
Finally, he'll stop talking about it.
Yep, and it was like he had me at go. So, but we'll shift this on over to you since you are the expert on this. How did it feel?
Well, I remember the day that, I think the direct was announced like a day or two before, like most directs are, and I remember I was working not at my current job, but my previous job, and I had a really cool supervisor. We shared an office together, and I asked him. I was like, hey, do you mind if I listen to some music? And so I just had earbuds in, and instead of like watching the direct, I was doing my work while I was listening to it. And I remember hearing like Luigi's Mansion, stuff like Luigi's Mansion 3 was like, oh yeah, it's like this is some more information about the new game. And Hero, as soon as they announced Hero at the very beginning of the direct, I wanted to see like confirm that it was somebody, and then I was like, okay, cool. And I just put it down, and I heard the music going. My phone was face down, and they played through the direct until it got quiet, and then I was like, what's happening? And so I flipped my phone back up. I saw the video game villains thing where it shows like Ganondorf and K. Rool and Bowser and all them like at the beginning, and then it goes to I'm like, did they accidentally cut like K. Rool's trailer back into this? Like K. Rool's already in the game. Why did they? And so then you see K. Rool sleeping in the treehouse, and I'm like, K. Rool's there. What's going on? What's going on here? Like, is there going to be a new DK game? What, like, I wasn't like sure what's happening. And then you see the Jiggy go bounce across the floor, and I lost my shit. I was just like, and then as soon as like Duck Hunt or I guess Banjo like comes down and like Duck Hunt is like posing to be him, I remember that K. Rool is the trailer that I watched a lot because K. Rool was like my number 2 for Smash Bros. And so seeing Banjo come in or seeing Duck Hunt be revealed, I'm like, I don't care. I know it's fake. I've seen it before. Banjo's just show me Banjo. And then he did, and I heard the gah, and I was like, I'm in. Like, it's great. Like, I'm into this. This is so awesome. And it was like the best video game reveal I can say I think I've ever seen, ever. Like the best video game reveal I've ever gotten, because I've wanted this for close to 20 years. Like I've wanted this since the first Smash Bros. Game came out, and Luigi's silhouette was next to Mario, and he has a big nose, and I was like, that's Banjo. That's Banjo right there, and it was Luigi, and I'm like, fuck, like, okay. And every Smash Bros. Game since then, I've wanted Banjo, and never gotten him until June. Well, we got the reveal in June of this past year, and at E3, and I have been through the moon, and it's been fantastic. And then we got him. He actually dropped in September, and his playstyle is fantastic. Like, I love everything about it. There's nothing I would change, nothing I would do differently. I'm not crazy about the fact that there's only like a very small amount of music tracks compared to some of the other characters. Like there's only like 10, and like some of the other characters got like 30. I think I'm not for sure, but there weren't a lot of music tracks for Banjo. But I mean, honestly, like I can't really ask for more. The play style is great. They use a lot of the different abilities. I've played him so many times at this point that like he's one of my top characters. I mean, I played against Luke one night, and I was exclusively Banjo. Like every time I would play as somebody else, I'm like, okay, that was great, but I have to go back. Like I gotta go back to Banjo. And I other than gushing about it, I don't know what else I can say. It's what I've wanted for like. As far as video game stuff, it's what I've wanted most of my life. So I'm glad I have it, and hopefully that means that we can get more Banjo stuff in the future. Like maybe more Banjo games. Maybe he'll come back.
So you got your number 1 and your number 2.
Yes.
And there's like nothing more that you could ever even want.
I can't, like, even when we got the Byleth reveal, as bummed as I was like, I mean, I don't even know what I expected or what I wanted, because I have what I want. And so it's kind of like, yeah, it could have been something that like could have been something better, but there's nothing that Byleth could have been that would have been better than Banjo. Mm-hmm. So I have the best thing possible. Why do I need, like, I want Sora from Kingdom Hearts, but I don't need him anymore. Like I have Banjo and I have K. Rool. So
yeah,
if they want to bring a Goomba in, I'd be like, okay, whatever. Like we have Banjo. I don't care if you bring in a Goomba or if you bring in like, if Sakurai himself is a Smash Bros. Character.
Yes.
Like,
why isn't he though?
Honestly, like it doesn't matter. They could bring in anybody, and I'd be like, okay,
yeah.
I still have Banjo.
Nice,
so.
It's good security for the future when they can pop. Now, no matter how bad they mess up, at least you've got your 2.
Yeah, and but that being said, like let's get better than Byleth, going forward. We have 6 more characters. Let's make them more iconic. Let's get Crash in there. Let's get maybe Geno, Spyro, Ratchet and Clank. Let's get like Jack and Daxter. let's like I don't know like
What was that? Conquer.
Conquer.
Let's get Conquer.
Conquer's in my top 5. Conquer's in my top. If they give me Conquer, like that'd be great.
There's a bunch they can go for, and they can do it. They can throw some more random JRPG characters and all that too, but give some more than sword boys and all that. But
diversity.
And then
honestly, if they bring in Conquer and he gets drunk half the time, like I guess it's a kids game, so they can't really do that. But that's kind of
his sugar high from his Mountain Dew.
Yeah, his sugar high. Yes, a Mountain Dew sugar high. But yeah, I mean, like I honestly, it doesn't matter who they bring in because I'd be in a good mood no matter what.
Yeah. All right. So that was pretty much the review to end all review. So we can skip Terry and Byleth, right?
Well, I like Terry. Terry's fun. I mean, Terry plays like most of the like both of the Street Fighter characters. Your typical brawler, all that. But Terry, I have a lot of fun with Terry. But he was the one that got the big music edition because Terry, the man Terry was also them acknowledging all of SNK and just how much they meant to gaming because they were big in the arcade scene and then they tried to get into the console market and they failed miserably. But that was more with them just to be like, hey, thanks for being important for gaming. Here we'll put one of your characters in, and Terry was one of their bigger names. Here's Terry from Fatal Fury and King of Fighters and all that. But yeah, what's funny is Terry's probably the one I've played the most. Not counting Plant, Terry's the one I've probably played the most out of. Probably because he's like the easiest to pick up, because he is basically just like they took a fighting game character from like a standard fighter and put him into Smash and did some tweaks. So like he's pretty easy to pick up and master. But he's a lot easier to pick up than all these other characters who have a lot more quirks to them.
Yeah, I think that it's kind of shocking how few bare knuckle brawlers we have in Smash Bros.
And we didn't get them until Smash 4.
Yeah, and we have so many weird characters that are eccentric that I think for a while people were like, oh, we can just go basic. Like, basic is also not a bad thing. Mm-hmm. And Terry is a bare knuckle brawler, and I really like that. I think that I had no idea who he was before. I vaguely know who he is now, but I think from what I've played, I think he's fun. I think that it's really nice to see Little Mac was great because he was like all like physical. He was all punching, and he didn't have good recovery, but he was fast. He was strong. He was great. And having Terry in there is very similar to that. He's not like Bowser, who can punch and claw, but he breathes fire. But Terry, he's just a guy. He's a guy who can kick ass, and I think that's really cool.
Exactly.
Little Mac is a lot of fun too.
Yeah,
a lot of fun. Little Mac is my number 2 fighter in Smash Bros, and so it was not that much of an adjustment for Terry. So that's why I liked
Who's your number 1?
Terry. Ganondorf.
Oh, okay.
Actually, Little Mac is slowly passing Ganondorf, I think, because Ganondorf is a little bit clunkier, and I'm not quite as good at him anymore than what I was for the tournament we went to. Yeah, where Pac-Man beat you.
Okay.
Hey man, my friend Zach's as a Pac-Man main. There's nothing wrong with that.
Actually, Pac-Man, he's a lot of fun.
No, but Connor mentioned Pac-Man to me when we were playing a few weeks ago, and he said, I really want to get into Pac-Man, and there was something inside that was just kind of like, oh no.
Why?
Because I felt really confident going to a Smash tournament, and then I got my ass kicked, and I got removed, like eliminated from the tournament from Pac-Man player. And so now every time I see Pac-Man, I just kind of like my heart sinks a little because I'm like, yeah, my rival. But Terry, yeah, he's fun. He's simple, but that's not a bad thing with Smash.
Not at all.
So
and I like how they did the stage too. How there's if you're not playing on if you're just playing on the regular stage, how you can't fall off, but you can be knocked out of the screen too. Like it's kind of like the Wii Fit level too. So like that was nice to have another unique one.
Yeah. So let's move on. I mean, I guess we kind of already talked about Byleth, but let's give kind of like an overall just general thoughts on the Fighter Pass as a whole. Like, Connor, what do you think?
To be quite honest, I do not care about any of them except for Banjo.
Okay.
Banjo and Kazooie as well. Yes. So since I don't own the game myself, I was only really looking forward to Banjo and Kazooie for you, and then I get to play Banjo and Kazooie when I'm gaming with you. So yeah, that is my final verdict.
Luke?
Yeah, overall, I'm pretty happy with it. Sure, like I would have rather had, especially since they follow the trend outside of Plant, who wasn't in the Fighter Pass, but outside of Byleth, they were all third-party characters, all very deserving characters, and then we went to another first-party, and so that was kind of annoying to Byleth because I would rather have seen Crash or Master Chief or even Minecraft Steve, but yeah, overall, I think it was a good way to introduce the DLC season here, and then the fact that, and then also too, the disappointment in Byleth was not as disappointing because we already knew we were getting a second Fighter Pass, and so that was awesome too because okay, we can get this sword character again, but yeah, I'm pretty happy with it. As someone who didn't really play Smash until Smash Ultimate, like I've definitely enjoyed the first Fighter Pass.
I would say, obviously, Banjo and Kazooie being in it is something that's always going to be stuck in my mind because they're officially part of the Smash Bros. Universe, I guess. So that definitely brings it up in excitement for me. But if I take aside that and just put in include what do I think that this, how would I grade this Fighter Pass? I would say it deserves probably a B- for me personally. As far as including characters that I think deserved it and being worth their inclusion, it's definitely higher up, like an A+. But as far as personally what it meant to me, it wasn't the best it could be. I think Banjo is definitely the only thing that's pushing the average up for it.
Very objective look at it though.
Yeah,
Yeah, I'd say the same though too. It really the only ones that I was like, oh yes, I'm glad to see it was Banjo, and then Terry just seeing a fighting game included like that. But yeah, it was I think overall a good start to the season.
That's a good way of looking at it. A good start.
I think it's pretty clear to tell where, at least to me personally, I think it's pretty clear to tell where Smash will go to where they've most recently been. And I can tell by the feedback that people have gotten from the characters in this Fighter Pass, who has the best chances of becoming available in the next one. So we can kind of phase into our wishes and predictions, because I think that for the second Fighters Pass, because I think that we're going to get characters that are just as iconic, but I think also more well known, if that makes sense. I think Joker, Persona, Hero, and Dragon Quest, Terry, and Byleth even, and obviously I think this about Banjo, they're all great characters, but I wouldn't say any of them are super, super well known, other than maybe Banjo, in terms of outside of the fans of those series. But I think, saying that, I think that we're going to get Crash Bandicoot. I think Crash is somebody that is known very, very well by a lot of people. Whether you play Crash or not, people know who he is. And I think he's going to be in the next Fighters Pass. I do think we have a good chance of getting Sora. I think we have a good chance of getting a Mortal Kombat character. I think we have a good chance of getting Geno, which is kind of weird because I didn't even know who he was until Smash 4, and now everyone is talking about him. I think that we might get more Nintendo first party characters. I really want another DK character. And I was actually just thinking about this yesterday. Everyone talks about how they want Dixie Kong or Cranky Kong, but I thought it would be really cool if they did the Smash Bros thing, and that's divert expectations, and instead of giving another Kong character, bring in a Animal Buddies package, where it's like you're Rambi, and then you switch into Enguarde, and then you switch into Squitter the Spider.
Oh, that would be awesome.
Like
yeah.
it's kind of like Pokemon Trainer, how you can alternate between Squirtle, Ivysaur, and Charizard, but now you're changing between a Rhino and a Swordfish who can somehow float out of water, a spider, like all these different animals. I think that'd be really cool to have that kind of thing going. That would be another big one for me. I'd love to see Conquer, as I already said. Yeah, I think that I think Crash isn't my number one for who hasn't been revealed or in it yet. Crash is not my number one for who I want, but Crash is definitely my number one for who I'm predicting.
Mhm.
I think he has probably the best chance of anybody that hasn't been already announced.
Yeah, I agree. I think we're seeing Crash. I think we're going to see another Microsoft character, whether that's Master Chief or Minecraft Steve or both. Honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if we see Sora, Gino. I mean, I know a lot of people want Doom Guy in from Doom, and that would just be another fun, just like out of left field. Like, how is this going to work? But it'd be fun to see Doom Guy. Like, it'd just be fun to see Doom Guy like with the beating up on Mario and all that. The ones I want to see would be Crash. I mean, honestly, yeah, Master Chief and Doom Guy. I'd want to see Spyro, and then I would want another Sonic character. Just because
for sure.
there's they can throw in Shadow as an Echo Fighter, they can do stuff to make him unique too. But like they could throw in Shadow where he fights a lot like Sonic, and then maybe gives him a gun. But like there's so much they could do with Tails and Knuckles or Eggman.
I'd love to see Omega.
Yeah, or Omega. But if we get another Sonic character, it's going to be Tails, Knuckles, Shadow, or Eggman. We're not going to get Big or Blaze or Omega. It's going to be like the 4 or 5 main characters.
I think it'd be hard to like. I definitely think you're right between those 4 characters: Tails, Knuckles, Shadow, Eggman. But the problem is that Shadow would be best suited, I think, for an Echo, and then Knuckles. I don't think they could. They could do anything they want, but I think it would be harder to bring in Knuckles before Tails. So I think that Tails and Eggman have the best chances as far as.
I'd really like to see Eggman because there's so much they can do, and then like for they can throw in Metal Sonic because I mean they can aid him like you have with Joker and Persona. You could do so in his final thing. He can like use the Death Egg, or they can put the Eclipse Cannon out. They could do so many fun things with it. And then but yeah, I think we'll see Gino and Minecraft Steve. We'll probably get some other random JRPG character, and I'm gonna be like, who? But some other things I really want to see. I think 2 that'd be really fun to add is I want to see whether that's costumes for the Mii, stages, music. I really want to see something from Portal or just Half-Life, something from a Valve game in general, just because those, if like going back to the whole, this is celebrating gaming and how important Valve is for gaming. Like Portal and Half-Life are huge in like if we put gaming and put it into like a book in the book of gaming, like those 2 are in there.
Yeah.
And so it'd be that. Another one is like Rocket League. That would be one that would have to be more of a stage or some music, just because another one that like has been so big the last few years with Rocket League, and it'd be fun to see that get put in, kind of like how we saw it with Cuphead and Assassin's Creed and all that, where, hey, you're not actually in the game with a playable character, but we're throwing you a bone and like we're giving you the recognition that you deserve. Thank you for being part of gaming history and all that. So like that'd be fun. And then I just want more Sonic music, especially these last few days. I've been listening to a lot of it as I've been reading my Console Wars book, and there's just so many good jams that aren't on the on Smash Ultimate.
Yeah, and you're right. I think Sonic he's been in, this is Ultimate's his 3rd game, and he has not yet had anybody else in the Sonic series. So I think it's past time. He's due for another friend or enemy.
Out of all the third-party characters, he's probably the most deserving because the other big ones is Snake and like Pac-Man, and it's like Miss Pac-Man would have to be an Echo Fighter, and I don't really. There's no one else really from Metal Gear that I really think that would have the same appeal as Snake, where someone like Tails or Shadow or Eggman would.
Definitely, yeah. I think you're right. Sonic definitely deserves it, and Crash is probably going to be in it.
I hope so.
Yeah.
What about you, Connor? Is there anyone that you can really think of? I know you out of the three of us play it the least, but like if you could pick a few characters to put in.
Yeah, Crash is my number one. He's my favorite character pretty much of all time. I can't think of anyone bigger than Crash that I love from
Do you
the
think
games.
if we
playing.
got a Crash announcement that like the announcement for Crash would be like Banjo for me? Do you think you'd be
To a lesser degree, yes.
okay?
Because I don't own it and I don't play video games as much as you guys. It doesn't have the same exact impact as it would for probably Luke. Because I only have one Crash Bandicoot game that I played when I was a kid, and all the other Crash Bandicoot games I've watched the gameplay. So I've not actually played them myself. Although I really should just start taking the time to just play through each and every single one of these slowly over time. But he's my number one. Conquer would be great. I think you brought up Master Chief, and I was like, oh my god, yeah. How come he's not there? Wow. Of all the ones in there, Crash and Master Chief should have been in there a long time ago. And then maybe another Mega Man character, like Mega
fun.
Man X would be a great one. And he's a big enough character that it makes sense to have another one. But you guys have pretty much covered the rest.
Oh, also I forgot my last one, Waluigi.
Oh god.
Yes.
Wah.
Yes, and his squeegee.
Wah.
Waluigi and his squeegee.
Oh god.
It'd be funny if they do throw him in. It's just like an extra like after they finish the second fighter pass, if they do kind of a plant and they just throw it like, hey, if you bought both fighter passes, here's Waluigi for free. If not, he's $6.
Yeah.
But that was more just for fun. It's so funny how bad people want him in Smash. And it's just like,
I wonder if they actually want him or if it's for the meme.
I think
it's
it's for
both.
probably.
Because I mean, I like Waluigi as a character, but I think like even Mario as a series is growing to have so many characters that like I don't know, Waluigi just like he used to be one of my favorites, but now he's just kind of like I don't know. And now that it's all of video games, like from all, Waluigi's just not iconic enough. Like there's a lot of Smash Bros. Characters that. You know, I might have talked about this before, but there's a lot of Smash Bros. Characters before the Fighters Pass, like that are already in it. That if it wasn't for everybody is here, I don't see why they should be there.
I think Waluigi is known enough to include him, and I think he's memeable enough to include him. But it's unnecessary to include him.
well, outside the memes, it would be kind of the same as Byleth, because even though like Mario is well liked, he would then be like the 10th Mario character, not counting Wario, Yoshi, and the DK characters. So like the biggest franchise, while they should be the biggest franchise in Smash, I feel like because it is like Mario and like that made Nintendo, that would be another Mario character on an already crowded field. And Waluigi doesn't have enough outside of him being a tall, lanky boy to really separate him, like you saw with Rosalina, or what you would get with, various other Mario characters that, Gino's Mario RPG, would you get with a Gino?
Mm-hmm. Honestly, that's fair. I didn't even think about that. He would be just another Mario character, which is because I think about Fire Emblem as just being way too crowded, but like there are people who like Fire Emblem that would say the exact same thing for Mario. So thank you for bringing that up because I wouldn't have thought of that.
I guess that would work with one thing they could do is have it be where Waluigi incorporates all of the Mario sports games because he's only in like Mario Kart and Mario Party. He's only in the spin-offs.
Yeah, you're right.
So you could do so. I guess the one fun way around it is if they do include him, is they can have it where all right. Waluigi does stuff with a tennis racket and with a soccer ball and with some way to tie in Mario Party and Mario Kart. They could give him because I'm trying to think of an item that is in Mario Kart that isn't the blue shell lightning or green shell or banana peel.
It could be the fire plant. So I think you can fire off multiple. Ones,
yeah,
right?
but there is a fire, but there is a fire flower thing that you can use. But yeah, they did something to kind of tie him into all of the sports and party spin-off games in his playable characters, then that can be something that set him apart and make him be a little more of a fun inclusion, because his inclusion is for Mario, but it's also just for the Mario games outside of the platformers. But it would be more just, I think, because people want the meme of him
Yeah.
because it's he is only in the spin-off games. He's never been in a mainline game, and he's never been in Smash. He's only in Mario Kart, Mario Party, and all that. So
Exactly. And honestly, what was his origin? Because I'm curious about that. Do you even know?
as in like why he's in the series, or
Yeah.
so it was because in Mario Kart, in Mario Tennis, on the Nintendo 64, they had doubles, and so Wario needed a doubles partner, and because you had Mario, and you had Luigi, you had Peach and Daisy, and so like everyone had something they could pair up with except for Wario, and so they basically added that to where it's how Wario is the doppelganger basically of Mario, while Luigi is the doppelganger of Luigi, and so he's Wario's partner, and then he just kind of spun off into only being into the party game, so but
I'm surprised that they don't use him more in main stories, I guess, because I mean, if he's been around this long, he might as well.
Yeah, so he's now been around for 20 years, because everyone else, they were introduced in the mainline games. Like Daisy was introduced in Mario Land on the Game Boy. Peach and Mario and Yoshi. And Luigi, they were all introduced like early on in the series as well. So, but yeah, I don't know. As much fun as it'd be, I don't think we're ever going to see Waluigi.
It's redundant.
Yeah. But I mean, maybe, like I said, maybe if they did a way to include his like stuff from the spin-off games, that could be a way to have him. But oh well. But I think it's time to move on to the final segment of the episode on our recommendations. So it was my turn this last week. I recommended to you guys the Gaming Historian YouTube channel, more specifically his Story of Tetris video, just because that's been one of my favorite channels I found. And I rewatched it too after we recorded that last episode, and that story still is so crazy. Like, you would have thought that just this simple puzzle game would have been this huge legal battle between all these different companies all over the world, and it just was a guy making it in his spare time in Russia.
And that's what really got me, is because it was not until obviously I suppose you could say it all worked out in the end, but it was so aggravating that he was not until the very end of the video that they even talked about him getting any sort of royalties, and he's the one who made it all happen.
Yeah,
I mean, I get the whole legal thing, but goodness gracious,
he didn't get paid for it. So think about the original, Tetris was big, but it really, one of the ones that helped it explode was the Game Boy version, and he didn't get a penny of that until anything after 1996. So 10 years after he made the game is when he finally started getting compensation.
What a crime! I will say that the overall video was fantastic. I thought the production quality was insane. I thought the guy clearly knows his shit. To the point where even I had to stop a couple of times and Google some definitions of stuff, even though he did a good job of dumbing down everything for the average viewer. It was chock full of of legal jargon because of the legal battle between all these different countries that I had to kind of Google some stuff on the side. I don't know. Did you have to do that?
No, but I don't know if it was just I just kind of let it go, and I was just like, oh, I'll just follow what I can. But it wasn't too hard for me to kind of follow. I liked that it was such a complicated history for such a simple game.
Yes.
That's such a it was so, when you recommended this to us, I was like, oh, I wonder what it could be. I had no idea it was going to be such a legal battle for a game that is that simple,
Exactly.
If it was something I don't know any big complicated convoluted game that would kind of make sense because everybody would want a piece of the pie. But for this one, like I was surprised that Tetris of all games
Yes,
had this much like fighting like.
That's what I was thinking. Tetris?
Yeah.
I mean, it was the very first video game I ever played because I had the Game Boy version. I loved it, but it was just like...
And it's so addicting. One of my other favorite things that I didn't realize until I watched it again, because I don't remember picking this up the first time I watched it. There's that scene when there's a couple of the reviews that are being read from different newspapers, and actually one of the reviews from the newspaper, the voice that read it was Gerard from The Completionist who read it. And so that's another fun YouTube channel. I was like, oh, hey, I know that voice. But that was
I wonder what he's going to recommend next.
But yeah, no, it was like, it's such a fun video. Did you guys check out any of the other ones too on his channel, or did you guys just stick to that one?
I just watched that one. But it did definitely the like Connor said, the way that it was written and explained and like how they put so much detail into letting you know all the history of this game, it definitely interested me into looking into more videos from the gaming historian.
Yeah, so that's his biggest. He has other ones that are more like half hour and 10-15 minute ones, but yeah, that one I think was kind of his like, all right, here we go, let's go big or go home.
And I can see why it's become such a big channel. That was the only one I watched per your recommendation. I didn't watch anymore after that, but I have seen his stuff before, and I think I've seen like 2 other videos by that because you have brought him up before, and I really do need to. If there is another way of really getting me into video games the way you guys are, I think the gaming historian is one way that I'm going to get into it.
Mm-hmm, yeah, because he can do it a good way. I think that's one thing too, just kind of about him, and then just like the way that some of these gaming YouTube channels that have really gotten popular over the last couple of years has been nice because like some of the other ones I like Ant Dude or Relax. Some of the other ones like where like they're good, but they kind of do the same. They focus on some of the same topics here and there. Where you see ones like where Scott the Woz does some more off the wall topics, or Game Historian does some like really interesting ideas, where it's nice to see that we're getting all these different things in the YouTube gaming sphere. So that was my recommendation then. Connor, what about you? What are you going to give us this week?
And so as you guys know, and I can inform the audience more, I'm an audio guy. That's what I went to school for. It was radio, and eventually I included television but for the majority of my college career was sound design, sound effects, and audio in general. And so I'm kind of hoping that I can give you guys some videos that will help you understand why sound is evolving just as much as video is evolving. And so I've got 2 videos for you that I'm going to recommend that are on YouTube. One is just shy of 9 minutes. The other is just shy of 10 minutes. So the videos I am recommending for you guys, the first one is by a YouTube channel called Scruffy, and it's called Invisible Sound Design in Breath of the Wild. And out of all video games, I think Breath of the Wild is such a perfect video game to use for audio, for an audio-based video. The other one is called See With Your Ears, Spielberg and Sound Design. This is by NerdWriter1. So you guys, I'll send you guys the link and enjoy.
Okay. Yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, and I like too how you have one Spielberg, so incorporate movies. You have Breath of the Wild, and so that'll be nice to see. To see that it come in 2 mediums we both like to really discuss. So yeah, I'm definitely excited too. Yeah, so send us those links, and I'll definitely check them out.
Perfect. I think that wraps up this podcast. What do you guys say?
Yeah, it was a little bit of a longer one today, but
yeah,
a lot of good stuff.
3 hours.
Yep. But I could talk about this shit all day with you guys. So for everyone, thank you guys for tuning into Rocket Talk. I know this was a bit of a long one, but please, out of all the topics that we've hit, even the tangents that we went on, let us know what you guys think. Please let us know what you guys want to hear from us. Luke, I'm gonna pass it off to you right now for all the places that you can find us other than YouTube and Spotify.
Oh, yes, true. Yeah. So we are, thanks to Anchor, we are now on a variety of different podcast services. And as our podcast continues to process through the Anchor's platform, they will work to get on others, hopefully. But you can catch us on Spotify, on Apple Podcasts, on... Hold on, let me pull the list up too. I had it and then it went away. All right, yeah. So Anchor, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Breaker, Google Podcasts, Overcast, Pocket Cast, and Radio Public. So a variety of the podcast apps that someone may use. If you know someone is an Overcast person, they can find us on there as well, just like they can find us on Spotify or YouTube. So you can listen to us on those and continue to hear all of our weird tangents about our weird hobbies.
And we will continue to do that for the rest of time. So please share with everyone this podcast. We will be coming out with a Facebook soon. Don't worry, we do talk about the social media presence. We're going to get on that, but that'll come as we get more content, and eventually the team is going to grow, so it's going to be more than just the three of us, and we will continue with our let's plays as well in the future. So just know all of that good stuff is coming, but for now, just continue to find us for all these wonderful podcast topics. So thanks a lot, guys. See you next time.